I will have a presentation here. I first want to thank very much Stefania and Enrique and Elizabeth, in name of who I thank everyone who invite us to be here. And also thank you for the learning process from yesterday to today. As we are going to show, I am part of an institution that is a government-led institution. And this government-led institution is a 60-year-old institution. So one of the things that we have is that we are one of the few think tanks in the world, I think, that are a government think tank, not the only one. We know we have agreements, for example, with 5 think tanks in China, in Korea, the Keeper in Kenya, but most of you are not government-led think tank. And there's some difference, but as you're gonna see here, it's not that much of a difference because we're always trying to be independent, but also influence policies. One of the things that differentiate us, and please don't shoot me because I thought that civil servants are not much I wanted here, but you are civil servants, myself and Rafael. And I am 27 years at IPEA. And for this process of this 27 years being a civil servant in a research institution that is also trying to influence policy, I learn a lot about how to engage in public policy, but also learn a lot with the mistakes that I've made and the mistakes that my institution have made. And in the beginning of the next government, they invite me to be the president of this institution. So yes, it's a political indication, but we maintain the independence of the institution is that something quite difficult. Besides that, when we have enough budget, we hire scholarships, we give scholarships and hire consultants to work with us to bring new ideas, to bring new perspective to our institution. Well, our mission is to qualify state decision-making and public debate. It's not easy at all. It's not easy for all of you. It's not easy for us. We're trying to do this for 60 years. We are changing the way we are doing this, and we have a lot of challenges in doing this. How do you pursue effectiveness and impact? Well, the first thing is producing research and evidence. This research has a rigorous, almost academic process in the production. We have peer review of our process. That's to guarantee that we are not state captured, that we not provide opinions, but we provide research and evidence. But we also engage a lot in evaluation of public policy. I myself represent the institution in a council. There is a National Council for Monitoring and Evaluation of Public Policies that have to evaluate around 40 public policies during a period of 4 years. And this has to engage in the process of budgetary process and other process in the government. We also participate in agenda setting. That's something quite difficult because the agenda setting process, as we have been saying these days, it goes for formulation from policymakers, sometimes formulation from bureaucrats, but we learn that we have to engage more with them. So from the beginning of the process, we try to learn how they produce policies, how they engage in this formulation and implementation of policies. And through this, we try to engage in the agenda setting. I'll give some examples. IPEA is a 60-year-old institution. It was created during the dictatorship in Brazil. It's something quite strange because it was autonomous in that time. That's what everybody that was there said. They said that they were created for doing economic policies, to do national economic plans and deliver unpopular opinions for the government. But could they really put these ideas forward? Are they engaging in the dictatorship? No, many of them did not engage. Many of them were against this process, and many of them engaged in the redemocratization of Brazil and were responsible for the parts of our constitution. For example, the report that gave the structure for a national health system was coordinated by one of IPEA's civil servants. But she did it alone? Not for sure. She engaged with civil society, she engaged in the process of democracy, she engaged in the debates, and she learned a lot in this process. So has the institution. The rural social security system in Brazil was also brought by a leadership of a civil servant from IPEA with debate of civil society and other movements. From there, the institutions have changed a lot. From the democratic process, the institutions have changed a lot. And in this process, also has the ministries. The ministries were more professionalized. And one of the things that we've been discussing here is that we have to notice that these ministries are more professional. We also hear from the technicians in the ministries in Brazil that they also have PhDs, they also are professors, they also give lectures like this, they are also key speakers, but they don't have the time that we have. And that's something that makes a lot of difference. So sometimes what we have to offer is a process of organizing the debate, organizing the evidence, and engaging with them with more time than they have. But we also have another thing, that is, we have people with ability to influence, not only at our institution, because we engage with other people with ability to influence. So you're always debating with other people, debating with people that have access. We have a lot of access to the media. When IPEA has like a slogan. The media say, IPEA says that. IPEA is not say anything. IPEA is an institution. Someone from IPEA is saying. But the media use this brand of IPEA to give a strength to the evidence. So that's something that's quite different. And we're always having to answer for the media using our research to say, no, it's not IPEA, it's someone from IPEA, it's not an institutional opinion. Not everybody in the institution thinks in the same way. You have a diversity of opinion. You have 300 civil servants in the institution. For sure, they don't think alike. We have 200 projects in these institutions. For sure, they are different. For sure, they produce the debate inside the institution. But we have a brand, and this brand makes influence. And this brand makes that some people want to work with IPEA. I'll give you an example. I am 27 years at IPEA, and I never think that I will be president of this institution, never. Because I don't have any political engagement. I have ideology. I am more, what I say, center-left oriented. I expressed my opinion during the campaign. I was in the social media during the campaign. And the minister that assumed the Minister of Budget and Plan is a minister of the right tendency. When they say, oh, you are thinking, propose your name to be the president of the PSA, you are completely crazy. I work with health sector. I have no political engagement with her. And I was not for sure thinking about that. And then when they called me, I said, okay, let's be clear. I said, I voted in the other candidate. I have these thoughts about the politics. I'm not neutral. And I think my institution is quite important and it has to be autonomous. So that's my conditions to accepting it. And she said, okay, let's see how it works. And I saw in the same day a report, a newspaper, a huge newspaper of Brazil, saying that through the 6 candidates that were appeared, my name was the best one. I said, how come I never talked to this journalist? I don't know her, I haven't known. But people from IPEA who want me to be the president put this on her mouth. And so I have something that was completely awkward for me. And for 2.5 years, I'm engaging with someone that is completely different in thoughts of me, but who is engaged what I call a democratic government. So that's something that I value the most. Interaction with civil society. As researchers, we think that we should be neutral. We should just give our research for the audience that they should understand this research, and it's not different at IPEA. We have a lot of research that they think that they could publish a 15-page, 200-page book that anybody will read because they are brilliant. That's not the fact. We've been discussing for a long time here. So what we've been doing is saying, okay, can we really influence policy through our cabinets? Can we really influence policy from Brasilia, from this federal district? For sure not. If our mission is to inform, qualify the decisions, do this, we have to engage, not only with the government, but with civil society. And part of our institution was doing this. For example, during the Durban conference, the publications of IPEA were brought for discussion of ethnic and racial equality and were quite important. But most of our institutions say, no, I'm neutral, I have not to engage, not with civil society, not with the bureaucrats and the government. But when we brought civil society to IPEA, when we brought for their process, we see how we could qualify our information, how could we qualify our action. For example, I'll say it later, we have some things that are going on in G20 in Brazil as a result of G20 because of civil society, and IPEA only helps. I will say this later. Networking, more than networking, partnership. We know that we cannot do anything in a complex world alone. So although you have 300 civil servants, although you engage with the government, we don't know everything. And we don't know the reality of our own country. So one of the things that we do, we interact a lot with universities, we interact a lot with institutions in the states and municipalities. We interact a lot with the actors that are in the territories because they qualify what we do. But as we'll see, we interact a lot with other multilateral institutions. And as I said, we have reputation, where reputation is something that we can lose. And I will be clear, in the previous government, we have a problem they are quite, I would say the word, far right, in the sense that do not respect civil society, they don't respect science. I was working in health sector, and I have to listen to the president saying, oh, COVID is a mimimi. It's not something that we should take serious. And the death curve, the mortality curve was increasing. So we took a side. We decided not to work with the Ministry of Health. We decided to work with states and municipalities that were doing the right thing. Use our evidence to really improve the policies that was brought by COVID. And this is happening in a lot of spaces at IPEA. The climate agenda was not considered, the gender agenda, the ethical and racial agenda, the civil rights agenda, a lot of things. And as civil servants, we go to our bunkers and say, we are not going to give reason for this agenda. We are going to work with other actors. That's the advantage that IPEA has to have civil servants. And that's difficult because they're almost closets. We almost sunk because we stay for many years without any public contest for new civil servants. Our budget declined, and we have difficulty in putting our publication and our opinions forward. But we stayed put. And then when the new government came, we're called for putting in debate the ideas that we have. And this might seem a problem, but 25% of our staff is now in the ministries helping to go through the agendas. This might seem a problem, but what is saying that influence is not just what we write, but how we engage and what we engage. And that's something that is not common throughout IPEA, but for you know, we have at the time 169 civil servants. We have a contest after this in 18 new civil servants, including Rafael, who is here, was included in our institution. But from these 169, 120 say, We can be close, but we're not engaged in far-right ideas. So we have majority of ideas in an institution that is working with public servants, and we engage with the bureaucrats that were trying to survive through that period also. They asked me to talk about this. I talk a little bit about IPEA because I think that's something that is important to understand how governmental-led think tank can be autonomous, can engage in public policy, can engage in civil society, but also we have concrete examples of other engagements. We are the chairs together with SEBRI, where is BIA, BIA is there, the Center for International Relations, and FUNAG, who is the foundation for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we're the organizing committee of T20 in Brazil. And during this process, we engage with more than 180 think tanks. This is something that I think is the most valuable thing from T20. I am not sure if the policy briefs produced during the T20 process are the most valuable things, because we try to reduce the number of policy briefs. There are 900 previous to us. We say, no, let's put a lot of rules, like we have to have women writing the policy briefs together with others to have parity of gender in the policy briefs. We put more women in the task force. They include complain with us. They say, now only women can lead the task force. We say, no, that's only reparation, because for a long time women were not leading this task force. We try to do a lot of rules so that we can engage, but we receive, I don't remember how many, but like 800, almost 1,000 policy briefs proposals, and we get 300 policy briefs in the end accepted. We have to produce a communique from this policy brief. Of course, this communique was really, really shorter than the policy briefs. What I think about policy briefs in T20, policy briefs is a bunker of knowledge, but they are not made for influence the process during T20. We cannot think that anybody is going to read 300 policy briefs. But I come back to some of these policy briefs sometimes when I have to engage in international debate, and they are important. The other thing that was important is that we engage with other engagement groups. Some of the results that we have during G20 were a result of we engaging with C20, Women 20, other engagement groups. These include a proposal for ethnic and racial equality in discussion with national and multilateral regional banks in Brazil and in Latin America that is going through. We are going to bring this to the agenda of the banks with the support, including of our own government and other Latin American governments. We have the first results and with our national banks, and we think that we'll have results with IDB in order the CAF, that is one other bank there in our region. But what we intend to do with this is to show that it's possible to be more equitable in the multilateral development banks. They are not, they are quite difficult to assess. They are quite oriented for the most developed countries, for the most rich in these developed countries. And then we want to bring equality to this process through this ethnic, racial, and gender discussion, and this is going through. Besides that, IPEA engaged in the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, so T20. How do we engage? We engage because we have, for more than 50 years, an International Poverty Center. That's the only part of the institution, together with our international development, international department, that does not work for national policies. This International Policy Center wants to bring the best ideas and the best policies for the international context to reduce poverty. It was quite successful in the way, and their coordinators, when the alliance starts, they say, okay, we can think about something together with the G20, together with G20, and do a proposition for the government. But we have an ally in this process. There was the Minister of Social Development and the president himself. The president says that nobody should suffer from hunger and poverty, extreme poverty. So with this alliance, this opportunity census, we support the construction of the Global Alliance, and IPEA is the knowledge hub of the Global Alliance for future developments. And also engage in other forums. We have, during the Summit of the Future, brought the ideas from T20, and it was quite interesting. We're still debating about that. I will just say to you that I will not talk about the BRICS. We are also represent the government, the BRICS Think Tank Council and BRICS Think Tank Finance Network, where you have a parallel section. If you want to know more, please go to this parallel section and we'll talk about it. International partnerships are fundamental for IPEA. Oh, sorry, let's run. We have partnerships with ILO, this ECLAC in Latin America, with UNICEF and other institutions. We have bilateral cooperations with lots of think tanks, lots of universities. We have 18 formal partnerships, but lots of other informal partnerships. We do government-to-government advisor and technical cooperation. They give us extra money to do this. We have these international agreements that I said. What are the risks and challenge is to close relation have the risk capture. We have to be all the time. As I said, I have an ideological view, but I'm the president of an institution. So I cannot put my view as a person that is advising the government in front of all the evidence that IPEA said, but all the debates that are occurring. So in this sense, I have to be responsible and not say that, although I agree with lots of things that the government is doing, I cannot put the institution as captured by the actual government. It's amazing how much challenge of communication we have, and that's been amazing to be here. We learn a lot with you. We have a problem of short-run versus long-run project and process. We know that best projects sometimes take a long time, but what we're doing is we are looking for us as memory of the state. We have a lot of problems, political turnover, and also some problems with funding. How we measure our results, the traditional methods, we look for downloads, we look for reference, we look for citations in social media, we look for comments in social media, we look for informations of IPEA's processing, for example, explanatory notes in bills that the parliament uses, and we use the access to our platforms. We have 19 platforms, data platforms at IPEA, but we are also trying to bring some qualitative information, for example, having some engagement, formal engagement for a formulary, for a questionnaire, for a survey, with the stakeholders of IPEA to see if what we think that we are doing, we're really doing right. Well, I will end with this. I will put this, other things I will end with this is, what are we saying in IPEA is we are the member of the policies, we are the member of the state. This is something that we value a lot. What does it mean? That we get the knowledge that we have for the policies, for our research, and wait for opportunities to engage in public policies. And sometimes we have a lot of opportunities because we have a cumulative process during time. But we have to imagine more the future. We have to be more prospective. We are doing some prospection in IPEA. We are looking for the future. We're trying to say to the government, okay, you have to think more about the future, to planning the present. But it's something that we are learning ourselves. And we are in an age of misinformation. IPEA is not being, like I said, it's part of this process in the sense that we establish what we call a polyhedron, gathering together of institutions that try to reduce through evidence-based, through information, through dialogues with civil society, the process of misinformation in Brazil that is really, really difficult right now. And we are always looking, what is the last time that we really, really impact public policy? We are always seeing this as an important thing. Scale up for networking is fundamental. Thank you very much.